Hey, this is Andy with Rocket City Pinball. Today I'm going to demonstrate for you how to install the Temple of Kong mod for King Kong Myth of Terror Island. Let's take a look at the game here first and see where the inspiration for this came from. So you see in the artwork on the playfield you have this stone temple here with some fires burning inside and a statue of Kong up on the top, all made out of stone by the ancient natives of Terror Island. So I felt that this would be a nice area to put it right over here because you've got some more of the ruins down in here and it's nearby to the playfield to where that is. So here you have it, the Temple of Kong. So it's really easy to install. Here's the parts that it comes with. So obviously it comes with the temple. There will be a light already built in and attached and some magnets built into the side, and I'll show you what those are for. You'll also have a matrix comet light with a little extension on it, and you'll also get this little plate, which obviously is meant to install with that side up. It's super easy to install this. All you're going to need is a 5/16 nut driver or maybe a ratcheting wrench if you have one. You might need maybe something like forceps just to deal with this light bulb, depending on how nimble you are. But piece of cake. So first step, let's get the light bulb installed. Since we're going to be dealing with lights, you want to turn off the power to your playfield, and you probably want to pull the playfield out of your game like this just to help give you better access to this area, because otherwise this sits down inside the cabinet here, and so this is a much better way to install it. So first thing we're going to do is you should be able to reach this nut right over here with your nut driver. As you can see, you can get on that one. This one over here by my thumb is harder to access, but you don't need to worry about that one. So first take this nut off, and after you get that one off, oops, there we go. After you get that one off, you can very carefully, we're going to lift this plastic so that it comes over the top of this screw, and we're going to rotate it counterclockwise. So since we're rotating in a loosening direction, that's going to allow this nut to loosen along with it. Just be careful when you do that. It has enough flexibility to bend up like that. Just be careful when you rotate it. You don't want to drag the bottom or the bottom of that plastic across that screw. You don't want to scratch the art. So just flex it enough and just rotate it over to the left like so. And that will give you access to that light bulb. Okay, let's cut the power. Alright, so now, if you're nimble enough, you should be able to get down in here with two fingers and pinch and release that bulb by pushing it down and twisting it counterclockwise, and then install the other bulb, again using two fingers, push it down, twist it clockwise, or if your fingers are not nimble enough to get in there, you can try to do it with forceps. But the idea here is that you should be able to do this without having to take all this hardware off to get to that. And once you get the new bulb in place, you'll take a look at the orientation of the wires. So I kind of have the wires on the outboard side. Make sure you keep the wire inside the rubber, and it's going to come up out the top and have your little pigtail coming out towards the outside of the game here. So once that's in place, now I'm just going to do the opposite and rotate this plastic back. Again, it's got enough flexibility, you should be able to lift it up and over that screw without scratching and get that back in place. So now, as you can see, the extension off of that light is going between the plastic and the rubber, and that'll make sure it stays out of the way of the ball passing underneath it in the shooter lane. Okay, so that's here. So next step is going to be to remove these two nuts. Now, I mentioned earlier in the video that part of the way this mounts is using a couple of magnets here in these little channels on the outboard side. Now, the magnets need to touch the top of the nuts. There's not really enough meat on the screws to get a good strong magnetic bond there. So this piece that I provided actually serves two purposes. One is it serves kind of like a washer. It's going to elevate the height of the nuts, so the nuts will actually be flat with the top of the screws, and that will allow the magnet to sit flush and grab the nut as well for a good strong bond. The other purpose of this is to provide a shield on the bottom of the mod, because we've got our firelight in here, and once installed, this is going to cover up the bottom, and that will prevent any reflection and glare from the light from reflecting in the shooter lane. When I first tested this, I was playing it, and there was a lot of light bouncing off the shooter lane because the bottom of this was open. So this piece that I provided here serves as the washer to elevate the nuts and also as a light blocker for the bottom of the mod. Okay, so next step is to take these two nuts off and install the little washer shield. I also should have mentioned that you should also go and reinstall that nut on that plastic over there. Okay, so I've got these two nuts off, and I'm going to bring in my little washer shield thing, and we're going to line that up on the little screws, and it should sit down right on the surface, just like that. All right, now again, notice you got your wire here. The idea is there's a little cutout in the shield so that the pigtail should be free to go up inside. The square part is actually, it's probably not long enough, depending on how you've oriented your bulb. It's probably not long enough to sit all the way up inside, and that's okay because it's still high above where the ball would be, but you at least want to have the wires passing through. Sorry, this is tough with one hand. So it'll look something like this, where your wires are going to pass through that little notch of cutout there. Okay. Now initially I was setting this up where you could just hook the pigtail from the bulb directly into the light into here, but it was a pretty tight pull how you get this in position, so I've included just this little extension. That's fine because most of the extension is going to be living up inside the base of the pyramid here, so it's not a big deal. Okay, so your next step as you're bringing this in is you're going to connect the bulb inside the pyramid to your little pigtail right here. And again, this is tough with two hands, so allow me to do that off camera. All right, as you can see now, I've got the light connected to my little pigtail here. Now, before we can go and finish installing it, we have to put these nuts back on right here. So let's put these two nuts back on. And with these nuts back on, you'll be able to see what I was talking about earlier, where now you've got a nice flat surface across the top of the nut and the end of the screw. These are actually little threaded studs that are welded to a plate underneath the plastic and on top of this piece here. But anyway, you got a nice flat surface here. So now that your light is hooked up and you've got this nice surface here with the elevated nuts, now you just bring the whole mod in, you nestle it under the rail here like this, and if you come around to this side, you'll see as you put it down, the magnets grab on and it sits down nice and flush. So you'll see on this side here, it's designed to fit pretty close to the edge of the VUC there. And initially I had designed the mod to sit a little further forward, and I discovered that that became a ball trap. But since now I've moved it back, and then you've got an angled surface here, if the ball were somehow to find its way over into this area, it would just roll down into the VUC, and the game would sense that and kick it out. So there you have it, simple as that. So then you just want to come in and clean up your wire positioning. You want to make sure that's out of sight underneath the plastic over here. And once you do that, then your mod is installed. And that's it. Piece of cake. So let's put the playfield back in the game, and let's turn the lights back on and see how that looks in the game. Alright, here we go. So I've got it back in the game, and you can see the nice ominous fire burning inside the temple. So it matches nicely with the artwork of the temple right over here. There you have it. The Temple of Kong by Rocket City Pinball. Reach out if you have any questions or issues with installation. As you'll see, there's lots of room underneath for the ball to get through. In fact, let's demonstrate that for you. Alright, so watch the ball go through. Let's focus up here. So, oh, I had two balls in there. Let's do one more. So no problem with the ball going through because the wires are up elevated enough and out of the way. So there you have it, Temple of Kong, Rocket City Pinball. If you have any other questions, let me know. Also check out my my other Kong mods. I have custom start buttons. I've got a propeller version for the premium, and I have lettering with nice pattern similar to this meander pattern. They're designed to look like these on my other start button for the Pro and the LE. I also have coin reject buttons with the gong. I have a Go Ape Again light corrector because this light doesn't light up very cleanly. So there you go, nice bright purple in this particular case. And I also have the Empire State Building mod, which is about to be released as well, which sits back there so the ball flies around it as if the ball were a biplane. And it also hides, its original intent was to hide the opto sensor that's behind it. So Let me know if you have any questions. RocketCityPinball.com.